Welcome to the Cover 4 podcast presented by Football Alliance. I'm your host, Josh Wingate. You can find me on Twitter at JoshWingate_302. With me today in coverage is Jeff Schmidt, who is a hardcore Cowboys fan. How you doing?
First of all, Josh, don't ever use the Cowboys fan and me in the same sentence ever again. I'm a Giants fan, first of all, for everyone. You can find me on Twitter at JeffSchmidt9.
And last and certainly not least, the Maverick, Mike Margetti. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Even better now.
That's good to hear. You can find him on Twitter at Draft Maverick. You can find links of our information in the description of whatever you're watching or listening to, and please make sure to subscribe. Give us a thumbs up or positive review. And just to get a little bit of the housekeeping stuff out of the way, Aqib Talib today, we found out he's not getting suspended for his June incident in 2006 when he shot himself in the leg. Any reactions to that?
No reactions. He just didn't do it in New York like Plaxico Burress, so he's okay.
Right?
You say that at jail. He's lucky you stayed out of jail and not just...
He was in a state where gun laws are not as strict, so good for him.
Right. And the Panthers signed Kawan Short to a 5-year, $80 million deal. It's pretty good. I mean,
yeah,
he deserves the money.
Mr. Short was very happy today. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cowboys, this is to me at least, no surprise. They picked up the 5th-year option for Zach Martin.
Obviously, a great move. Just waiting on the Giants to do it for Odell now.
Yeah. And Patriots had a huge day today. They signed Mike. I can't say. I'm bad with last names, just so everyone knows. Gillislee to a 2-year, $6.4 million offer sheet, and I think I saw a report that the Bills weren't going to match it. They signed James White to a 3-year extension, and Malcolm Butler signed his tender,
which makes him eligible to be traded.
Yeah,
and I certainly
could be going to the Saints.
I certainly expect that to happen too. By the way.
Yeah. So today we're going to discuss. I guess Mike has a bomb to drop for us. We're curious to what that's going to be. Yeah. We're going to talk about the Cleveland Browns, which everyone's talking about the Cleveland Browns right now. We have
picking the draft. Everybody should be talking about them.
Yeah, we got some of the top running backs in this year's draft: Joe Mixon, Christian McCaffrey, Leonard Fournette. We're going to talk about Reuben Foster. We got some news on him. We're going to talk a little bit about Hard Knocks, and if we have a little bit of time, we're going to get into prop bets. So, Mike, you told Jeff and I that you had a bombshell for us. What is?
Well, what an introduction to it. Basically, there's a lot of intrigue at the top of the draft. We expect that the Browns are not going to mess things up and they are going to take Myles, Garrett, but we really don't have a great idea of what the 49ers are going to do with the number 2 pick yet. They have put out feelers as far as trading down. I feel like they would love to trade down. I've brought up a few scenarios where teams may want to trade up for my scenarios include Patrick Mahomes. Like, I feel like Patrick Mahomes is going to be a hot name in that area, similar to what the Eagles did with Carson Wentz. But in this scenario, if the 49ers fail to find a trade partner for the number 2 pick, my bombshell is that they would actually draft Christian McCaffrey at number 2.
Wow.
I don't know if I could see them warrant the roster to make that selection.
That is a scorching hot take, my friend. But I actually agree with the principles of it. I think that Christian McCaffrey fits in perfectly with Mr. Kyle Shanahan. Just at number 2, it just seems like that's a little bit of a stretch. But as you mentioned, I mean, if teams are willing to trade up to number 2 and they can maybe squeeze back a few spots and get some extra picks and then pick him, that makes sense. But at number 2, that's a hot take. But if you want to elaborate, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the ideal scenario would be to move down a few spots. The next team that we really heard in serious discussion over Christian McCaffrey would be Carolina at 8. So if they do want to make sure that they get him, they would still need to pick him ahead of that. And the further they move down, obviously, and the closer they move down to Carolina, it gives Carolina, if they really do covet McCaffrey, that opportunity to trade ahead of them with a team like maybe the Titans or the Jets, where they move up a couple of spots. But realistically, what I see, like there's already been some smoke out there as far as when John Lynch and Shanahan have individually been asked about McCaffrey, and they're very open about other prospects. And then when they're asked about McCaffrey, they kind of go into a shell and they try to play coy and everything. So I mean, by trying to be secretive, they're almost being a little bit too transparent. Another thing that's kind of smoked to me is the fact that Christian McCaffrey's been turning down team requests for private workouts and private meetings, which kind of tips off to me that he has an idea of where he's going already. And obviously, if San Francisco is picking him and they are still picking at the number 2 pick, then he would know that he doesn't need to meet with whoever has the 3rd pick, 4th pick, and so on. Kind of like how Deion Sanders wouldn't fill out the rookie questionnaire that the Giants gave him because they were picking too far down the draft. He knew that he wasn't going to be going down that far. So, there's a little bit of smoke kind of leaking out from both sides. It seems like too perfect of a fit. Number 2 is too high, but I mean, if you look at the guys that he compares to, for Shanahan, McCaffrey is kind of like Devontae Freeman that he just had in Atlanta. If you want to make some higher end comparisons, you could go Marshall Faulk or Reggie Bush, who's actually won McCaffrey's titles. And ironically enough, both of those guys were picked number 2 overall in their respective drafts. And Faulk had a Hall of Fame career. Reggie Bush was a little bit of a disappointment, but I think that was more in the way that he was utilized early in his career and the fact that he kind of danced.
That's kind of what my question is. Do you think he can live up to that number 2 overall pick?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's just what I was getting into, is that Reggie Bush was he kind of danced too much in his transition from college to the NFL. McCaffrey is much more he's much more experienced in a pro style running system at Stanford. So he knows, he's very nuanced in all the running back. Like he reads blocks well. He knows when to hit the hole. He knows when to wait back and be patient. He doesn't dance too much. He's pretty much a hit it and go running back. So I mean, he understands the pro style running game better than I believe Bush did coming out of USC.
Well, what would be your comparison for McCaffrey right now?
Oh man,
I know that's putting a lot on you.
It's tough. I mean, you hear Brian Westbrook, which is a legit comparison. I mean,
sure.
You don't want to call him a third down back because he's much more than that.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
So I mean, like Marshall Faulk to me, actually, without trying to get too lofty and compare him to a Hall of Famer, but Marshall Faulk fits the most because he was able to be a 3-down running back with all the ability to be the receiver out of the backfield. So I mean, let's hope that that's his ceiling as Marshall Faulk, but his floor would probably be, similar to a Devontae Freeman, who isn't a great runner between the tackles. I think he averages, probably less than 4 yards per carry, but he's such a huge threat coming out of the backfield as a receiver.
So Mike kind of touched on this earlier about McCaffrey, how he was skipping workouts. Jeff, do you think it could be because of the 49ers, or what do you think the reason for that is?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If the 49ers are telling him that they're going to draft him at number 2, why would you go on any other private workouts? Why are you going to go meet with the Eagles? Why are you going to go meet with the Panthers? It just doesn't make sense.
He also was supposed to be a Cowboy.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just doesn't make sense from a standpoint from him. Why would he want to risk an injury for absolutely no reason when he knows he's going to be picked up at number 2? When I first heard the news that he was skipping workouts, I thought it was the Philadelphia Eagles that were telling him, hey, we're going to draft you at number 14. But at the same time, if it is San Francisco, like I said, you just don't go on other workouts. You stay put and you make sure you're completely healthy going into training camp and rookie mini camp. So I'll leave it at that.
I mean, he he would also be a marketing darling there. I mean, the Stanford and 49er connections historically run deep, going all the way back to Bill Walsh. I mean, it almost makes too much sense, even if it is a little bit too high of a draft value. The fit just really makes sense.
I personally, one quick thing. Philadelphia is the last spot that he won't fall past Philadelphia. Let's just put that in stone. He's not going to get past number 14.
Yeah, I can't see him getting out of the top 10. He's just that dynamic of a player.
Versatile.
I've told you guys before, I would use him like the can never think of the guy's name, but the
Ty Montgomery,
wide receiver, running back, Ty Montgomery. Yep. Yeah. I'd use him exactly like that before they said he was going to be a running back. Once they put a title on him, his effectiveness as a whole entire player kind of went down.
Ty Montgomery, you can even go Theo Riddick with Detroit. He's in that mold, but he's just a lot more explosive than Riddick
both
is.
Those guys. Yep.
I know that Montgomery is a very good athlete.
Oh yeah, for sure. So sticking with running backs in this draft, did you guys hear about what Mike Florio came out and said?
What's that?
He said Joe Mixon is likely to go undrafted. I know a lot of us have talked about how. Yeah, I know. A lot of us talked about he could be a French first-round pick, or even at the least he'll go in the second round. But he's saying a lot of people are scared of his off-the-field issues. What do you think of this?
Unless something new just came up that hasn't gotten out to the public yet, I don't see that in any way. Because, I mean, just a couple weeks ago, we were hearing the complete opposite. And this last 2 weeks before the draft is the worst as far as false rumors being put out there. Somebody's trying to get his value that has shot back up to the first round to fall so that they have a shot at him in the second round is the only thing that I can think of. But, I mean, a couple weeks ago, we were hearing that he's going to go ahead of Dalvin Cook and is almost a lock to be a late first-round pick at least. And, you know, I don't see what changed in the last 2 weeks.
No question.
The thing is, the NFL does send out emails warning people about taking players. Mm-hmm. That's what they did with Leo Collins with his. I mean, I know it's dramatically different. Yeah. But they did send an email out saying I wouldn't draft this guy, and he went undrafted, and could happen with Joe Mixon.
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, like I said, it was completely different.
This is something that happened 3 years ago that has been vetted countless times now by countless people, and unless something else came up that has not been leaked out to the public yet, I don't see anything that would be the reason that he wouldn't get drafted.
It only takes one team, one owner. One owner is going to say, hey, this guy can put us over the edge, make us that much more dynamic on offense. We understand what he did. We know he's going to be a PR nightmare in the beginning. Let's get him in. Let's have him do a lot of community outreach. Let's transform his image from the day he gets into our building. And somebody's going to sign off and somebody's going to draft him, I believe, in the first round. If not the first round, in the top 5 picks of the second round. He'll not.
Who do you think would take him?
What'd you say? The Bengals?
Bengals, Colts, Bucs.
Bengals.
There are a number of teams.
If Minnesota
Vikings, if he gets to the second round.
If Tom Coughlin wasn't in Jacksonville, I would consider Jacksonville, but I just don't see Coughlin drafting him. I think it would be a nice fit in Jacksonville. I just don't see Coughlin pulling the. The Packers could work just because of where they are. They're not. They have a great locker room. I know the fan base is probably not going to be too thrilled with it, but when he's running all over everyone in the NFC North and NFC, I think they'll come and rally behind him. I think that honestly would be a perfect landing spot for Joe in terms of.
I said Colts because Ballard is from Kansas City, who just drafted Tyreek Hill last year. Indianapolis is kind of another one of those cities that it's not a bad place for a guy with some sketchy character issues to fall into. He's got a good role model. He's actually got two really good role models with Andrew Luck and Frank Gore. Chuck Pagano is a really great coach. So, well, he's a great person, if not a great coach. So, I mean, that would be a good situation, I believe. I was going to say also, in regards to you, Jeff, if the Giants weren't in such a big city as New York, I think the Giants would be a great fit for him. And especially having his former teammate Sterling Shepard there to kind of vouch for him. I think that would be a great fit.
There is a 0% chance that the Giants are going to draft him, though, just because of the Josh Brown situation of last year.
Sure.
He was suspended for a game, and then all of a sudden we hear more. There's multiple incidents, and they cut him loose. So,
but until those other incidents came out, they were ready to roll with it.
Oh, absolutely. They were ready. He was about to fight for him, but Mr. Morrow was. But at the end of the day, they realized that it was going to be too much. Too much of a distraction, at least. So, as much as I would love to have Joe Mixon, believe me, I think he's changed as a person. I do not value anything that he did. I want to make that clear. But I do believe, from what I've seen, that Joe has changed, and he's willing to take that extra effort to make sure that everyone knows that he has changed. So I would love to see him in a New York uniform, but I just don't see it happening.
Yeah.
So I got a little bit of a scenario as far as that goes. Say, what we were talking about earlier, the 49ers trade back before the Panthers and take McCaffrey. Mm-hmm. And the Panthers don't take a running back round one. They go some other position. I don't know what it would be. Do you think they could be a team putting that information out there? Joe Mixon slides in at number 40.
Absolutely.
And they grab him.
It could be any number of teams. Like I said, it could be Minnesota, who doesn't have a first-round pick. And I know that Minnesota has a lot of ties to them. Their running backs coach was the guy that recruited Mixon to Oklahoma. So there's a strong connection there, and I don't think they pick until, the mid-second round, right?
Correct, yeah.
I think 40?
58?
No, 48.
48, yeah. So, I mean, they could be really hoping that he falls to them in the second round, especially given their running back situation, which is not very strong. But they don't have the leverage to really move up too far to get him. They might have leverage to move up a little bit to get him if he happens to fall into the early second round. But beyond that, they don't have a shot at him. You know, I had him originally penciled in to go to Tampa Bay at 19 because they've dealt with the PR backlash of drafting Jameis Winston, number 1 overall, when he had all the incidents coming out of Florida State. They have a strong locker room leader with Gerald McCoy, who also went to Oklahoma. Probably has some inside information with his connections back there in the day. That's where I had him penciled in. And then as his character issues seemed to get less and less, I started putting him higher and higher and considering Indianapolis at 15, I think. I think 15.
Yep.
And then eventually I bumped him all the way up in my last mock draft, all the way up to 9 because Cincinnati has never had an issue with drafting a guy with character problems, dealing with that backlash, even though their fans at this point don't even seem to care if they bring in a guy with character issues. So, I mean, I had him going as high as 9th. I think that might be a little bit lofty. It depends on how the board falls, and but I definitely could see him going by pick 19.
Oh, absolutely.
So, go ahead.
No, I do like the fit in Tampa as well. I think we're going to touch on this later, though, with Hard Knocks. If Joe Mixon is involved with Hard Knocks, that is a lot of extra garbage in there. Right, it's just that
Hard Knocks right now.
That's giving me a little panic attack right there, just in terms of being a former PR guy with the Orlando Predators of the Arena Football League. Just having that situation and then having it magnified to seeing every little nuance and detail, it makes me cringe as a former media PR guy. But I would love to see it. But it would make for great TV.
With that being said, Hard Knocks announced today that the Buccaneers will be their feature team on HBO, their documentary. What do you think, Mike? You're a Bucs fan. I know earlier you said you don't have an opinion, but you need one right now. Go.
Definitely throws a wrench in the whole Joe Mixon plan, for sure, because that's that's compounding all the PR. Like that's just, yeah, that would be too much for me. I would struggle with that. I mean, personally, I don't care too much about Hard Knocks. It's a lot of fluff for me.
I personally love it. I'm sorry.
Really watch it. I watch it.
I enjoy it. I found out that Jared Goff didn't know where the sun rose and set last year, so that was some great information right there.
If I would have known that before the draft, I would have dropped him 2 grades.
He would have been in the third round for me.
2 rounds.
Yeah,
exactly.
100%.
Third round immediately.
You should have seen my facial reaction when I first heard that. I was like, "You're kidding, right? This is a joke." Nope.
College education.
Yep. That Cal Berkeley education.
The world is flat.
Yeah, of course it is. and dinosaurs were made up.
That was yes. And now the Earth is flat, according to a number of NFL stars.
So, what do we think is going to be the big storyline behind the Buccaneers?
Oh, Deshaun Jackson.
It's probably James.
Oh, Jameis Winston could have his own show.
Yeah.
He's going to be amazing. Gerald McCoy is their vocal leader. He's going to be a big part of it. They have a number of interesting storylines. Ali Marpet, a guy who was a D3 offensive lineman, his rise all the way up, that would be a great storyline. Doug Martin suspended for 3 games next year. That's a big topic. They need. What was that?
Is it 3 or 4?
I believe it's 3. You could fact check me on that. I'm pretty sure it's 3, but we'll go with 3 right now. But it might be 4. Anyway, he's suspended for a few games in the beginning of the season, and it's just. I mean, there's a number of things. They just picked up Mike Evans' 5th-year option as well, so they'll probably be trying to renegotiate a new long-term deal at that point. So the Bucs,
wide receivers ever coming out.
The Bucs are a very interesting team right now. A team that could. We've seen the NFC South is a draw at this point. I mean, Atlanta came out of nowhere. Carolina kind of came out of nowhere to go to a Super Bowl. Why is it not the Bucs' turn this year? Why can't they be the shocker team?
Why not us? Fire the cannons.
Why not? It's Wednesday now,
anyway.
So why not Wednesdays? Let's make it a theme.
So, Peter Schrager, who's a writer for Fox Sports, and he's on Good Morning Football on NFL Network, proposed a hypothetical trade for the Cleveland Browns earlier this week, which consists of a trade between the 49ers and the Browns. Get ready for this trade. 49ers get the 12th overall pick from this year, the 33rd overall pick this year, 65th overall pick. They get all 3 picks in the second round for next year, and their first overall pick in 2019 for the second overall pick in this year's draft. What do you got, Jeff?
If John Lynch gets this deal done, just make him executive of the year right now. Just let's call it right now. Just, I mean, the 49ers, if they pulled this off, would be in amazing shape for the next few years. And I would honestly love to see it for them. Just, I mean, what they could do to transform that roster would just be amazing. I just don't see Cleveland even coming close to doing this. With their Moneyball approach that they have right now, they're trying to acquire picks. They're not trying to deal picks for prospects. So I don't see this deal happening. Maverick, I don't know how you feel about this deal, but I just do not see this happening in any way, shape, or form.
You said all you need to say when you said Fox Sports, because they throw out the most absurd scenarios. Brady Papinga just yesterday wrote an article about how Christian McCaffrey should be the number 1 overall pick by Cleveland. I mean, there's making calculated, wild predictions like what I do sometimes, and then there's just throwing feces at a wall and seeing if it sticks.
Wow.
This is
so I calculated the numbers from Pro Football Talk's draft chart, and they're overpaying by the 24th overall pick in the draft.
Yeah, it's not practical.
No.
I don't even know why you brought it up. It's just Cleveland. Cleveland is such a fascinating case, though. Aside from absolutely not doing a trade like this, exactly what Jeff said though, with their Moneyball front office, with Paul DePodesta and Sashi Brown, they are absolutely looking to acquire picks. They're not looking to trade away the farm for one guy, especially when it's one guy that I don't even think that they genuinely are interested in bringing in, which we'll get to also. But basically, there was a quote that came out, I think it was yesterday, may have been before, where DePodesta flat out says, do we think that we're better at drafting guys than anybody else? No. What's going to give us the edge is having more picks to choose from, and if we hit on 2 out of 5, we're doing pretty good. If we have the same number of picks as anybody else, we don't expect to do any better than anybody else. But we are going to build our draft equity so we acquire more picks and have more opportunities to hit on those picks.
Do you guys think the Cleveland Browns are on the up and up?
I do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I do too.
100%. I love where they're at right now.
They're unpredictable too.
That's true, but I love the coaching staff. I love Hugh Jackson. I think if he gets the right quarterback, look what he did with Andy Dalton. I mean, Andy Dalton was a second-round pick. Don't get me wrong. I love Andy Dalton, but he made Andy Dalton what Andy Dalton is right now. And then Greg Williams, getting him from Los Angeles was another great pickup, in my opinion. He's going to change that culture completely. And once they draft Myles Garrett at number 1, right? Hopefully. He's going to allow...
They can't mess up.
He is going to be that dominant player that's going to set the tone for the next few years of their draft and other guys that they bring in. So,
well, sticking with that, the Cleveland Browns been in the news saying that they're going to take Trubisky first overall. There's also reports that I've heard the Fournette as well. I know you both were discussing this prior to the show. So, Jeff, why do you think they're putting these names out there so close to the draft?
Well, Maverick and I were talking about it, and he brought up the interesting point that they're just trying to throw these names out so teams will trade up potentially to acquire them so that they can get their guy at number 12. And I totally agree with what he said. It just makes so much sense. I mean, a guy like Marshawn Lattimore could wind up falling back if Cleveland says, hey, we're going to potentially take Trubisky. Oh, no, now a quarterback's out the way. Now somebody might trade up and try to get Mahomes or one of these other quarterbacks like Watson as well. So it makes sense from a Cleveland standpoint. They're trying to get the guys they don't want out of the way. So they're 2 or 3 guys that they really love at 12 that they obviously can't take at 1 because of Garrett fall to them right there at 12. So I think it's brilliant by Cleveland. I think they're going Garrett all the way, and they're just smoke screening the hell out of everyone else in the NFL right now.
Yeah, I mean, basically, in my opinion, they're trying to raise the perceived value of these guys. And especially Trubisky, I don't think that they want Trubisky at all. But what they especially don't want is for him to still be on the board at 12, where they have to pass on him for the guy they do want. Not that I think they really care about public backlash for passing on the local quarterback, but it takes the pressure off the situation if he's not there. So what they're trying to do is build the value of guys like Fournette, guys like Trubisky, make sure that they're gone off the board. And what it does is it pushes the guys, just like Jeff was talking about, it pushes the guys that they do want down closer to where they may be able to get them at 12, may only have to trade up a spot or 2 if they really covet a guy. It may be Lattimore, it may be Hooker or somebody like that. But basically it fills the spots ahead of them with guys that they are not particularly interested in.
Yeah, I 100% agree on that. I think, but the question is, who do you think the player is that they want to pick at 12?
That's a great question. It could be anybody. Me personally, I'd love to see Hooker, like Mike just said, Lattimore, O.J. Howard. There's a number of guys that would, immediately come in there and fix a lot of problems that they have. if I had to pick one guy,
Yeah, pick one.
if I had to pick one, I really, it's so tough. I would probably go Howard, just because he would open so much up over the middle of the field for whatever young quarterback's going to be there, and he would act as a security blanket for that quarterback. They're already getting their dominant pass rusher at number one, so it kind of gives them free reign to add somebody on offense, and I don't think they should be.
They lost their best receiver.
Absolutely. So I don't see them adding a running back at 12. Crowell is fine. He's absolutely fine, and Duke Johnson is serviceable as well. So potentially maybe Mike Williams or O.J. Howard at number 12 if they decide to stay put.
Yeah, I'd go Lattimore, honestly. I see the position value being better. I see his upside being better. O.J. Howard's a great player. You know, I'm not as high on him as a receiving tight end as some are. I don't see him really being that dynamic as a receiver, but he could have just been severely underutilized at Alabama. So it may come out that he turns into a better pro receiver than he was in college. But yeah, I really like the prospects of them having Marshawn Lattimore. And I mean, I added Malik Hooker in there too, even though I don't see any way, no matter who they boost their value up ahead of them at 12, I don't see any way that Hooker falls to them. But Lattimore I could definitely see, especially since he's hearing his name slip a little bit because of the experience questions and the potential hamstring concerns from previous injuries.
Just not being the best player on his own defense.
Too much. That's the problem with too much talent on one team.
I personally think. I mean, if I was the GM and I was drafting for the Cleveland Browns, I would want Jamal Adams so bad. He's just great in the locker room. He's a leader on the field, and I honestly feel like it's something that their defense coordinator would love to have.
They're gonna have to trade. I think they're gonna have to trade up for him. I just
can't see it.
Yeah,
exactly. I can't see him falling that far. But maybe if he does fall because of these names far enough, they're willing to trade up to get him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see them trading to 7 or 8 potentially, or something along those lines. But we will see.
Well, the issue though, when you're talking 7, you're talking Chargers,
who actually need a safety
themselves.
Yep.
So, like, let's say Hooker's there at 6, and the Jets I know want to trade down. So the Jets might be a spot that you swap with at 6, and you snatch Hooker or Adams out in front of the Chargers. I could potentially see that happening.
But do you really see Fournette going in the top 10?
Yeah, but I wouldn't agree with it. I don't have him valued there, but I can see it.
If Carolina,
so that being said, what is the Fournette's value?
I mean, I value him in the mid to late first. I think that my ideal landing spot for him would be Baltimore. I know that they have a loaded backfield, so to speak, with numbers, but not necessarily with that standout talent. But they have been an organization in the past that has thrived with a bell cow power running back, and especially with Joe Flacco. If you get that power back to draw the defenses in to stop him and allow Flacco to be able to launch his deep ball with fewer guys playing him deep, I think that would really help that offense in general.
My dream scenario is Oakland. I mean, Oakland. They're still called Oakland.
Yeah.
They're not. They haven't yet moved to. I had to catch myself there. They are still the Oakland Raiders. Just imagine Fournette behind that offensive line. I mean, I know they're talking about Marshawn Lynch, bringing him in,
potentially,
but nothing has officially happened yet, and it seems like he may want a little more than Oakland actually wants to hand out to him. So if Fournette maybe starts slipping in this draft, I wouldn't be shocked if Oakland says, you know what, Marshawn, go have fun with Richard Sherman when we trade him to wherever he goes. We're going to go up and grab our guy Fournette and get a dominant power back behind this power offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, even if Marshawn does end up in Oakland, I can't see it being for more than a 1-year thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Nobody knows what he still has left, to be honest. Nobody knows how good a shape he's kept himself in, if he's going to be able to regain his playing shape. I can't really bet on him. It's great publicity. It's great to try to get the fans in the stands for that last little push in Oakland. Who knows how long it's really going to be? But I don't see it being a long-term thing, and it's definitely not a long-term solution.
So, let me get to where I was. It's been reported that teams were not satisfied with the progression of Reuben Foster's surgically repaired rotator cuff at medical rechecks, and that he may require additional surgery and miss part of the training camp. Jeff, what do you think is the effect of his draft value?
It's definitely going to hurt his draft value. He was definitely being talked about as a top 10 type of talent heading into or postseason and heading into the draft process. But I don't see him being a top 10 talent at all now. I can see him landing in Baltimore at number 16. He actually just visited today in Baltimore. So they have a history of drafting linebackers. He kind of fits that nasty mold of a Ravens linebacker or a Ray Lewis-esque type backer, right in the middle of your defense. They need linebackers to cover the running backs that are in that division. I mean, Le'Veon Bell, they need a dominant force that's going to be able to shut him down on a consistent basis. So I would love the idea of him landing in Baltimore, but I could definitely see him falling past that into the late 20s as well, just because teams are definitely shying away from drafting these guys with rich injury history. And me personally, I wouldn't want to take a chance on him. I'm gonna gamble on somebody else that has a clear medical background.
So, Mike, before you go, are you going to be disappointed because people are going to blame this on why he falls?
Yes. Because there's so many other issues in his game. He never should have been considered a top 10 pick. But yeah, everybody's going to point to the shoulder injury now and say that it's the sole reason that he fell in the draft. And frankly, it's not. I've talked to people that have inside information, so to speak. I don't want to really leak anything, but they basically call him a ticking time bomb from a psychological standpoint. I don't know him personally, so I don't want to speak too much to that, but there's a lot of smoke out there that would concern me. And the medicals and his style of play just don't lend themselves to a long career. He plays with a reckless style. He's had a back injury when he was heavier, so he dropped weight to take pressure off the back, and now he's undersized at 230 pounds. Still plays with the reckless style, and now he's getting neck stingers, shoulder injuries, rotator cuff. I think he knocked himself out of a game earlier this year with a concussion. Like, it doesn't seem like it's going to be a long career. He's an off-ball linebacker, which is not a premium position in the NFL. You generally don't see those guys go high unless they're completely clean. Even a guy like Myles Jack fell into the second round last year, and yeah, it was medical based, but his medicals I don't think were nearly as severe as Reuben Foster's overall. Just his concerns, like all around, character and medical wise.
I agree with you. I personally didn't see a top 10 player on film, and he was nothing special to me. I think because he has that Alabama helmet on, people automatically rank him so much higher than what he really should be.
You also had Jonathan Allen and Tomlinson in front of him too. That also helped. So.
And before that, he had Jaron Reed and Ashawn Robinson.
Absolutely. So.
Yep. So we have a little bit of time left. I think, Jeff, you have some prop bets that you want to share with us. Yeah,
I wanted to close the show with some fun here, some prop bets, see what your thoughts are on these interesting topics, see if we can make some money on draft night. The first one I have here is the number of Alabama players selected in round one. They have it set as at 4.5. Do you guys see that being over or under?
I gotta think about this.
What was the bet again?
Alabama
four.
players selected in round 1. 4.5 is the line.
4.5. They got that half player, Humphrey, right?
Yeah, Humphrey. He plays the zone.
So this could be a push here.
On that one. I'm taking the under.
I'll make it fun. I'll take the over.
See, I was gonna go the over until we just had that Reuben Foster discussion, and now it's making me lean towards the under. But I'm gonna stick with my gut and go over. I'm agreeing with Josh.
If they were healthy, they could easily have 5 to 6 players in the first round.
Oh, no question. Yeah.
Well, if they were healthy and clean character-wise, because I mean, you look even at Tim Williams, who's got all sorts of off-field problems himself. He's not sniffing the first round.
Their safety could have gone first round.
Medical, yep.
Yep.
With a broken leg and kind of fell out of sight, out of mind.
Yep.
All right. So the next prop bet is actually their biggest rival, LSU. Let's do the same question. How many LSU players are going to be selected in round 1? The line is set at 2.5.
You can't see if I'm holding up the third finger, but I'm not, so I'm going under.
See,
I'll probably go under on that.
I'm going to go over just because I'm bigger on Tre'Davious White than you two are.
Yeah, Trey White I don't think is going to go in the first round.
So I'm gonna go over on that. Trey White is the number 3 to win me my cash. Sounds good. Next question. The number of quarterbacks. The big question. The mystery question. How many quarterbacks are going to be selected in round 1? The line is set at 3.5. Thoughts?
I'll let you take it, Mike.
I'm taking the over on that one. There are going to be at least 4, maybe 5.
But I hate doing this to you. We got Trubisky, we got Watson, and we got Webb. Who else?
His dad is a former pitcher in the major leagues. I'll give you a hint.
The best quarterback in the draft is the one you're forgetting. They actually created a round above the first round for him, so he's actually going to get drafted Wednesday night.
They're doing the undrafted first?
They're doing the pre-drafted.
Okay.
He's going round 0, pick 1.
Round 0, pick 1.
I'll believe
in Mike's heart.
Yeah, I'll believe that when I see that. But I am on the Mahomes train with you, Mike. I do think he's going to go pretty high, and I see him having an excellent career. I hope he falls to the Giants at 23. I would be very pleased if the Giants said, hey, you know what? Let's take this guy. So, on to our next question. Which conference will have more players selected in the first round? Will it be the SEC or the Big Ten? The Big Ten is getting 4.5. So
Hold on, I have to be right back.
What is he doing?
He's put on his draft hat.
Oh, he's SEC.
All the way.
So you're saying that
You're SEC taking the 4.5. Huh?
you're taking the 4.5. All right.
Yeah.
Or
You're going against the 4.5. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I got him all the way.
I'm going to take the 4.5 with the Big Ten on that one. I have to.
It's so tough, but the Big Ten has made a ton of strides, especially if guys like T.J. Watt get in the end of the first round. It's too tough for me not to take that 4.5. I'm going with the 4.5 and the Maverick.
Especially considering the Bama players that are falling and Tre'Davious White not going in the first round. That's going to be the difference right there.
Absolutely. Agree to disagree,
I think
sir.
we have time for one more.
We do. And it's Mr. Irrelevant. Is he going to be an offensive player or a defensive player?
Go ahead.
I want to go offensive player.
I'm going defense.
I'm putting all my chips on 0 and going kicker.
Kicker.
Like my entire stack, $10,000 in chips is going on kicker.
Wow. Okay.
I got one for you guys. Will Mr. Irrelevant be from military or not?
No, because there's not a good kicker for the military academies.
Oh, okay.
Josh, do you have any insider information on that? Is somebody working
I
teams?
don't, but I just know that everyone wants that feel-good story as Mr. Irrelevant, and it could be that.
Actually, let me give you an actual name. He would actually be. It's not going to be a kicker. It's going to be a punter, and it's going to be the second Idaho player that I know of to be Mr. Irrelevant. The first, of course, that I know of to be David Vobora, the former linebacker with the Rams. It's going to be Austin Rakow. He's going to be Mr. Irrelevant, punter out of Idaho.
Okay.
$10,000 in chips on that.
Who is picking at that point at this right now?
I have no idea. It's irrelevant.
So that's all the time we have today, guys. Do you have any last words?
Just want to reiterate that I am not a Cowboys fan. I am most certainly and 100% a Giants fan. I bleed blue and red.
So he likes the Giants and the Phillies.
The Broncos are picking Mr. Irrelevant unless they trade out, since compensatory picks are tradable now. So it makes sense. I could see Austin Rakow being a Bronco.
Okay.
I'd bet on it.
You think so?
Hey,
Who's their punter right now?
the scout didn't have to go too far to go look at him. So
hey, and I mean this is on record right now. I'm on record calling Austin Rakow, who has a great leg. I saw him at the Shrine game. He was booming.
nice.
Yeah.
For your sake, I hope this happens. I am going to be cheering for him.
Edgar Poe is going to be the Mr. Irrelevant.
Edgar Allan Poe?
Yeah, the writer from the 1600s.
No, he's
an Army wide receiver.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. But
anyway, thanks everyone for listening to us.
I have a better one, actually.
One more?
Austin Robinette, the wide receiver from Air Force.
Okay.
Right there in Colorado Springs.
Yep.
It's right there in Colorado Springs. Going to Denver Broncos could be onto something. So
See, honestly, that's who I was looking for. I just didn't know he was on Air Force.
Yeah.
And I looked up Army and Navy. But anyway, thanks for everyone listening to us today. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for notifications on our next show. Thank you.
All of our information on where to follow us on Twitter.